What was the most FD up thing you saw in school? We, entire school, watched some guy jump from 12th floor. DN. Your school has 12 floors? Wayside school gets a little stranger. Would have had to jump from 12 since there is no 19th floor. Also was just nostalgically checking Wikipedia and there's a new book from this year. A kid hung himself on a playground our senior year. I hear his brother found him. This all happened a week after two of the brother's friends, also seniors, died when they wrapped their classic Mustang around a tree near the HS. Made for a rough senior year to say the least. Wasn't there but heard about it from friends there. One of the most loved teachers in my school was doing a dance class for a bunch of pupils and they were copying her every movement. She had a stroke and fell to the floor and a bunch of kids did the same thinking it was part of the routine. Pretty tragic cause. She later died in hospital. In first grade a boy pulled his pants and underwear to below his knees and laid down on his back. Then a girl spat on him. I don't remember why but I will never forget that sight. 2 fetishes were born on that day. Some kid kept SG in the sink every week and they had to keep cleaning it up. One day I walked in the bathroom and someone had put ST on the wall. Had some girls in my high school who were creating works of art in the same fashion. They were deemed the fecal phantoms. And were never caught. We had the notorious ST swastika smeared on the walls of a stall one day. Never found out who did it. I feel like I may have gone to your school. Or fecal swastikas are more common than I'd thought but I choose not to believe that. So FD up on a funny way. 2 guys were yelling in the hallway and it was about to come to blows. Guy 1 goes back to swing at guy 2 and proceeds to miss by mile. Into another girl. Girl kicks guy 1 square in the BS. He falls back into another student. And then it dominoes into the crowd that had gathered around. The teacher that was in the way came running up and slipped on something and went into the air and landed straight on his back. I swear it was like something in a movie. No one was really hurt but God, that series of events was timed perfectly. I had a religion teacher in high school named Mr. Nguyen, who was working on becoming a Jesuit priest and was a really cool guy. He always had a smile on his face and did his best to make class a fun experience for everyone. There was a kid in my class who was a really annoying smart ass. But Mr. Nguyen was always really patient with him. Until one day he pushed him too far. I forgot exactly what the kid said. But it definitely crossed the line. Mr. Nguyen slammed his fists on his desk and shouted, "Why can't you ever shut the FK up?" He then picked up his stapler and chucked it at the kid, missing his head by a few inches and leaving a huge dent in the wall, and then stormed out into the hallway. I had never seen a teacher blow up like that and I definitely never expected it from him. Some girl broke up with a guy. So he smeared his ST on her locker and PD all over it. What's with all the ST stories in this thread? I want to know too. How did so many people get comfortable handling PP? Didn't actually see it. But the most FD up thing that happened in my school was the time a sophomore videoed a special needs kid jerking it off in the bathroom stall from above in the stall next to him. There was a bathroom at my school near the special ed hall that nobody liked to use. The story was that occasionally during 7th period this special ed kid would go into one of the stalls and start loudly jacking off. One day I was in the bathroom taking AST 7th period because I'm a dumbass and didn't believe it. And this kid walks in and gets into the stall next to mine. He then proceeds to start jacking off and making loud unintelligible noises. Being an avid reader of green text at that time in my life, there was no way in HL I was leaving my stall till he was gone. I waited like 15 minutes of him making post-nut noises before he left, without washing his FG hands. I was mortified, and I decided to walk a lot longer to the next closest bathroom instead of using that one again. I seen a teacher have a literal mental breakdown in front of an entire class. He was a English teacher and was in charge of looking after the kids that other teachers wouldn't deal with. I guess one day he just snapped. Stood up, threw a chair at a pupil and started punching holes in walls and screaming in a really psychotic manner. The teacher next door heard the commotion and realized pretty quickly what was happening. She came in and persuaded him to go with her to the staff room or something, and we never seen him again. A girl with bulimia tried to shout down a spiral staircase. But because her gag reflex was so weak, she vomited from a great height instead. Oh, the splash. Nobody could deflect it. As a former bulimic who has an issue with nausea and vomiting to this day, this is nightmare fuel. My friend's uncle had recently shot and gutted a deer. We decided to bring the severed deer head to school and unlocked the trophy cabinet and stuck the head in amongst the other trophies. In school suspension for all involved. About a month into my first year of high school, two girls got into a fight during lunch. The principal got hold of one of them and was pulling her away. She was trying to break free, and during that her TT popped out. The principal tried getting her shirt back on her but ended up grabbing her TT instead. A giant hawk swooped down on campus and sunk its talons into the back of a squirrel foraging for acorns about 20 or 25 yards from me. Scared the bejesus out of me. He stood on it like a boss for a few seconds and then flew off with it. This was at like 7:30 in the morning, so it took me a while to wrap my brain around it. The guy walking in front of me spun around and said, "Please tell me you saw that." Quote, "The circle of life is quite beautiful." Just a pile of fluid in the boys' bathroom with blood in it. I have no idea how or why, but it was there. A kid in my school year stabbed one of my friends in the back. Not verbally. I mean with an actual kitchen knife. We were 11. When I was 9, someone stabbed another kid in the back with a maths compass. Just randomly with no real motive or logic. Why do the most violent stories here involve elementary age kids? 'Cause kids at that age are psychopaths. Edit. Holy St, thank you for the responses. I'm sorry I'm slow at responding to all of you. As promised. Because this comment thread is traumatic. I have shared with you my wonderful kitties for some. Bleach. I saw a kid go from being full of life and having it all to a shell of a person. Backstory. When I was in high school, about 2009, there was a horrible car crash that killed 2 grads. Grad was a week away. Cause of crash was alcohol impairment. They were driving with a drunk guy. He was going double the speed limit around a corner and the car flipped, sending one of the girls through a window. She was cut in half. Where the accident happened was a block away from where her little brother lived. He watched the car flip over and watched her intestines paint the road. Kid was just traumatized. A lot of us were. Don't drink and drive, please. That's the thing about car crashes. The only thing keeping you from being cut in half is meat and flimsy spine. Hence why people get cut in half a lot in car crashes. A dude go into the hallway and cut himself with scissors. He had gotten in trouble from a teacher he hated and sent into the hallway. I was in the classroom, so I didn't see him actually do it. But when he got inside, there was blood on his clothes, hands. Later talked to the kid and saw the cuts going from his thumb to his wrist. They didn't seem deep, but there were a lot of them. And I had been worried. Edit. I am not in touch with him now. But he didn't appear to harm himself after the incident. He did have some anger problems, though. Might have something to do with family. The white dove they released for Peace Day got immediately snatched mid-flight by a red-tailed hawk. This was in elementary school. It was a rival football game and the stands were packed. A section of the old wood bleachers collapsed and 20 or so students went to the hospital with numerous broken bones, concussions, and lacerations of various degrees. During the same game, I saw a guy get hit so hard in the leg that it shattered and both bones were showing. Poor kid ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of the school year. I know it has nothing to do with your comment, but it reminded me about a classmate who had his leg broken and had to use a wheelchair. An earthquake happened and he was left all alone in the classroom while everyone else evacuated. That should be a thread on its own. I'm just imagining the whole class outside and the teachers like, did anyone get Billy? Quote, many years ago I sat next to a kid in high school who went on to kill his mom. He would always bring in photos of homemade bombs from 2-liter bottles, flamethrowers from squirt guns, etc. I thought it was the coolest thing and was so impressed by it until later on when I recognized I was encouraging a to-be murderer to keep being violent. I remember a lot kids being interested in fire and blowing st up. With fireworks mostly. And most turn out fine. Ask a crowd of people if they used to play with either. And I'd bet just about everyone will have some stories. A guy in my school put in a finger in his ass during a Skype call and someone else recorded it. There was a ginger vegan that would chew carrots up in his mouth and chase people around, spitting carrots at them. He ended up getting his head slammed into a bag hook in a fight afterwards. Did he die? It feels like someone who gets their head slammed into a bag hook isn't going to survive. No. He survived, thankfully. It was 11-year-olds, so they weren't strong yet. Edit. They were 11 years old. Not the bag hooks. At what age do bag hooks become strong enough? These two kids got into fight at my school. Somewhere during the tussle one kid lost his balance and on the way down threw the meanest uppercut ever. He connected on the other kid's bare teeth and pushed them into his gums. He FD'd up his own hand really bad. Blood just everywhere and no teachers in sight for like another 3 minutes. This is some Mortal Kombat X-ray vision ST. I was in 9th grade. One of our classmates got drunk, stripped and streaked the lunchroom, gymnasium, basically any place crowded. The staff was afraid to tackle a naked teenager, so we all got an eyeful. I was in HS in the 90s. They announced the OJ verdict over the PA system. Didn't witness. 'Cause it happened to me. I was stabbed in the back with a pencil from a school bully that hated me for some reason. I was late to my class because of the pain. I walked into class and my teacher asked why I was late. She brought me to the principal's office and threw open his door demanding he do something. He said because there were no witnesses. There was. I had a friend I was talking to at the time of the stabbing. He wasn't going to do something. She kept telling him there's witnesses and the security camera would have caught it. She got so PD she said he's not doing anything because the bully was the football coach's son. She got fired the next day for defending me and standing up for me. Another FD up thing was in high school. I got beat up by the same guy. My dad picked me up after school. Saw the bruises. Went into the principal's office. Who got promoted to the high school during my freshman year. I couldn't escape that FR. And my dad demanded something be done about it because he was tired of me being bullied. The principal, of course, said he wasn't going to do anything due to no witnesses. Again, multiple witnesses. A teacher actually stopped the guy from punching me. My dad ended up breaking his nose and giving him black eyes. No charges were filed, but he sure did make the rest of my high school life miserable. As soon as he handed me my diploma at graduation, I told him to go FK himself and kept going. That's good your dad did that. One of the girls in my class thought she was pregnant in 7th grade. She told me first and I said nothing. She told every other girl in the grade minutes 1 or 2. 3 days later I get called into the office and the girl is blaming me for spreading lies about her. I got in trouble even after explaining myself and having other witnesses come in. The principal called my parents in for a meeting with her and went off on them about my reckless behavior. The only other time I had ever in my life been intolerable was in 6th grade when I got sent to the office for doodling bases. One of my 6th grade teachers hated me. Fortunately, my parn believed me because they knew the other girl was a liar. But it still sucked because that incident was stuck to my name and not hers. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.